Um, and today I'm going to do a talk on why you need a credit card in the UK. Uh, in this channel, I usually talk about things that and questions that people have asked me or things that I've discovered since I came to the UK, and I try to answer them as best as I could. So this is one of those useful information that I thought I should share with you. I'm going to do it in four parts. The first part will be giving you what credit history is, basically a talk on why, what a credit history, and I'm going to use a fictitious story to illustrate what credit history is. The second part, we're going to discuss a credit card and the benefits of a credit card. And then the third part, we will discuss why how to use your credit card responsibly. And finally, the part four, we will discuss how to apply for a credit card. So let's get to the first part, credit history. This is a word if you are searching credit cards and the like, you probably have come across this phrase. And I'm going to use a story to illustrate what this means. Before I get to the story, I will share this statement by Suze Orman, who is, I think she's a financial advisor, if I'm not wrong. She's American though. She said, I love that you want to use your debit card, but to keep your credit, sorry, that's a typo. It should be, but to keep your credit score solid, you still need to keep a few credit cards and use them at least once every few months. So this is particularly important to people who have very strong opinions against any kind of loans or debts. And I just want to begin by saying that yes, a credit card is a type of loan, but when you use it responsibly, it is a loan that you will not pay interest for. And secondly, if you're thinking of big borrowing in future, particularly for the example I will use throughout this talk is for a mortgage. If you're ever thinking of getting a mortgage, then a credit card will help you in one way or the other in your journey of getting a mortgage. And keep on listening to me, and I'll explain to you how it will help with that. So, I begin with the tale of Josh and his three friends. By the way, I have not said that my name. I am Josh. So this is actually a fictitious story. The people in this story are not related to me in any way. I just made up characters to pass a point. So Josh one day wakes up early in the morning and looks at his phone, and there are three messages from three of his colleagues at work. Message one comes from Daniela, message 2, Ronald, and message 3, Brandy. The content of the message is similar. All of them are asking him for money. So Daniela says she needs £200 and she will pay back in the next 3 weeks. Ronald also says to Josh to help him with £200 and he'll pay back in 3 weeks. And same with Brandy, who says that she needs £200 and she'll pay back in 3 weeks. Uh, Let me mention that it is highly unlikely that three people will send you this kind of message on the same morning, but this is a fictitious story, so everything is possible in fiction. That's besides the point. We're trying to find out uh, what a credit history is from this story. So, if you were Josh, what will you do? Now, let's assume that Josh has enough money to actually lend to all the three of them. So the problem is not that Josh doesn't have enough cash. No, he has enough to do everything that, I mean, to give to each one of them £200. But the decision that Josh has to make is whether or not each one of them can actually be trusted to pay him back as they have said. So if you look at the profile of the three of them, Daniela is the person who has a few times in the past borrowed from Josh. She always pays on time and as agreed. So if she says 3 weeks, she will pay you within 3 weeks. She has also borrowed from other people that Josh knows a few times in the past, and all of them have the same story about her that she is very reliable. Everyone can trust her. If she says she's going to pay you back, she will pay you back the same amount of money she said at exactly the same period she said she will pay back. She has never failed to do what she promises. So she is good news. Ronald, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of Daniela. He has borrowed not once, not twice, but very many times from Josh in the past and from other colleagues that Josh also knows. Many times when he has borrowed, unfortunately, he either fails to pay back, or if he pays back just partly, or even when he has paid back fully, he probably will pay back later than agreed. So probably he'll say 3 weeks, but then he'll pay you back 3 months later. So Josh knows Ronald cannot be trusted, and everyone else knows that they do not trust Ronald. If Ronald borrows you money, he's putting on a mask, and when it comes to payment, you will see the face behind the mask. The true Ronald reveals himself. Now there is Brandy. Brandy is a bit of a mystery. She is the colleague who doesn't talk to anyone at work, and nobody knows so much about Brandy. She has never really borrowed anything from anyone, and so Josh does not know whether she can trust Brandy or not. They don't know whether Brandy will pay back or she will not pay back. They don't know whether Brandy will turn out to be like Daniela or she will turn out to be like Ronald. And from everybody else that Josh tries to find information, nobody knows Brandy because Brandy has never borrowed from anyone. These three people illustrate how lenders look at borrowers, I will say. So again, using the example of a mortgage, if you were looking for a mortgage today, you will go to a lender. So let's say the house is £500,000 and you have some £100,000 and you're looking for £400,000. So you go to a lender, it could be a bank, it could be a building society or whatever lender it is. The first thing they will look at, like Josh, is your history. They want to know whether you can pay them back or not. So if you are Daniela, you have a good credit history. You have borrowed in the past. They can look at other people and everybody else you've borrowed from says, has a report that you've been paying back in time. You can be trusted. And because of that, they assign you a number called a credit score, which is a high credit score. It's usually a number that's assigned just to indicate your your reliability in terms of debt. So Daniela has a good credit history. She has a high credit score. She can be trusted. And the advantage of having a good credit score is when you go to borrowers, there's so many people willing to give you money because they know they can trust you. And because there's so many people willing to give you money, now you have options. You can choose who to borrow from. You can negotiate for lower interest rates. And that's the benefit of having a good credit history. Ronald, on the other hand, is bad news. Everybody knows he has a bad credit history. He doesn't pay back. He's not trustworthy. And so if Ronald wanted the same kind of mortgage to buy a house, has 100,000 for deposit and now is looking for 400,000 to buy his 500,000 pound house. Lenders will look at his history and they will not be willing. Some lenders will outrightly refuse to engage with him because he is too high risk. And the few who may want to take that risk will also want to protect themselves in some way. And what options do they usually have? One of the options is they will give him very expensive loans, very high interest rates. And so that just in case he defaults, at least they have recouped some of the money they gave him back. So bad credit history gives him a very low credit score, and Ronald becomes not trusted by lenders, and therefore he has very few options when he wants to borrow, and the options he has are very expensive. Brandy now is the category where most people who, like myself, who come to this country fall in. UK does not recognize your credit history from wherever you came from, so the lenders will only look at the credit history in UK. Unfortunately, you've not been living here, so you don't have any credit history. And because of that, you're like Brandy. Nobody knows you. They don't know whether you can be trusted or not. They don't know whether they should be giving you money or not. And therefore, like Ronald, unfortunately, you'll have a very low credit score. And like Ronald, you fall victim of the same disadvantages in the sense that there are very few people willing to take the risk because nobody knows you. So you have a very limited option of choices. But on top of that, the few who are willing to take risks will also be very expensive. And so when you're new to this country, you want to build a credit history, especially if you're thinking of taking on a mortgage at some point or a big loan for whatever thing, a car loan. I don't know, people take loans for all manner of things. So if you're thinking of taking credit at some point down the line, you want to build a credit history. And it is here that for people who are new to the UK, a credit card becomes quite important. That's the end of part one. And thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section. And we shall continue this discussion in part two, where I shall talk about what a credit card is and the benefits of having a credit card. Thank you.